Hello and welcome to Security. This is a continuation of the Cybersecurity Homelab project. And today we are going to be setting up the Windows server, which is going to serve as the domain controller, DNS server, and DHCP server for the environment. So what I've done so far is I have done a fresh install of the Windows Server 2019 and connected it to the same interface as the PSN's firewall that I installed in the previous video, such that it's getting an IP address via DHCP from the firewall. I will link a resource that shows you how to do the initial installation in the description. So the first thing I'm going to do the initial configuration of the Windows server is to configure static IP addressing. Right now it's set to DHCP, but I want to configure it as a static IP address because it's going to first not only be the domain controller for the environment, it's also going to be the DHCP and DNS server. So I don't want it to have an IP address that is constantly changing. So if you remember from my initial DHCP configuration on the PSN firewall, I gave it a range of addresses to stop at 199. So I plan to use IP addresses from 200 and above for servers. So I'm giving this Windows server the .200 IP address. I'm also going to make it the preferred DNS server for the environment. So now that I am done setting up static IP addressing, I can go ahead and begin the addition of roles and features, including the Active Directory domain services, the DNS and DHCP services on this server. So before I install DNS and DHCP services, I'm first of all going to install Active Directory domain services and make this the domain controller for my environment. I'm also installing Active Directory lightweight directory services for LDAP authentication. So yeah, basically I'm just going through the wizard and it's all going to install automatically. So I'll pause the video during the installation. It doesn't take a lot of time, however. Okay, so now the installation is done. Next thing I'm going to do is click on the notification and click on post-deployment configuration. And same as before, I just follow the wizard. I'll click on add a new forest because this is going to be a new forest, and I'm going to give the root domain name as the domain name for my environment, homelab.local. I click on next. So I'm going to type in the directory services restore module password. I'm probably not going to need it because this is a virtual environment, but I'll just put it in here. Click on next. Leave everything as default. I'll leave create DNS delegation as default, but DNS services get installed automatically with the Active Directory domain services. I'll leave the NetBIOS name as homelab. That enters automatically. Leave all these as default as well. And this script is something you can use to restore your configuration at any time. What I'm going to do is just save it. I'm probably not going to need it, but it's the best practice to save it in case you need it. So now it's going to perform prerequisites check, and once that is done, you can click on install. So I'm just going to wait for the install process to be done and restart the server afterwards. So now the install process is done and the server is restarting. So now at the login screen, we are given the prompt to log in as administrator. We use a password that we set up during the configuration. And now we are logged in to the domain controller. So now we can see different Active Directory settings. These settings are available due to the fact that we have installed Active Directory domain services on this computer. So the first thing we're going to do is go to Active Directory users and computers and create an account. This is a security best practice to disable the administrator account and create a user account that we're going to give administrative privileges. This is a user account we're going to be using to access the server. This is a security best practice, especially in enterprise environments, and it assists especially with auditing purposes. So we're going to create an account, give it a password, and we are also going to set that the password never expires, just because this is a lab environment, but it's something you're probably not going to do in an enterprise environment. We're going to unselect user must change password at next logon as well, and then click on finish. So the next thing we'll do is add the user to the administrators group. Click on check names and click on OK. So now the user has been added to the administrators group, and now we're going to disable the administrator user account. So right click and click on disable account, and the administrator user account has been disabled. So now we're going to log out of the administrator user account and log in with the new user account that we just created. Okay, so just to confirm that the account has been disabled, we try to log in to the administrator user account, and you see the account has been disabled. So now we click on other user, put in the username security that we just created and the password that we just created as well. And now we are logged into the server with the new user account we just created, also with administrative privileges. So in this video, we've successfully installed Active Directory domain services on this server and created a user account and granted admin privileges, and also disabled the admin user account. In the next video, we're going to be installing and setting up DNS and DHCP services as well on this server. Yeah, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.